everybody, welcome back to my channel. Mia here. Today's video is going to be my wrap-up for the DiverseAthon Readathon 2.0, which just took place this last week. I've been very lucky to be able to participate both years that this readathon has been up and running, and this year was very successful. I had a pretty large TBR in my opinion, and I did manage to read everything that I had originally intended to read during this readathon. I love to participate in this readathon because to me personally diversity is very important, and the more diverse we are day to day, the more we want to learn and understand from other cultures, from other people, from other beliefs, the more sympathetic we can be towards the other person's situation, and the more we can understand each other, the more we can respect each other, and the easier it is to live peacefully amongst each other. So I am very happy to be able to participate by bringing light to some of these very beautiful, diverse books that otherwise perhaps you might never be interested in reading. So let's get into the books that I actually read. So the first book that I picked up during this readathon was the book that was selected to be the read-along for this readathon. Last year I was not able to participate in that aspect of the readathon because I didn't have that particular book that they were reading along to, but this time around I did have it, and that book is The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead. I really enjoyed reading this book even though it is a very sad and devastating story. I thought it was beautifully written. The book is a historical fiction book that takes place pre-Civil War here in America, and it follows mostly Cora, who is a slave at a cotton plantation in Georgia. She was born and raised there, her mom was also born and raised there, and her grandmother was brought from Africa. Her mother ended up leaving when Cora was relatively young and escaping the plantation, leaving Cora behind, something that Cora has always resented her mother for doing. She is being pretty much secluded from the rest of the slaves in this plantation until one day a relatively newer slave approaches her with the idea of escaping the plantation and going on search of the Underground Railroad, which it is believed to carry slaves up north and allowing them to have an opportunity to gain their freedom and become free men and free women rather than slaves. So at first the idea appals her and she says absolutely not, but one day an event happened that changed her mind and she decided to go ahead and attempt to escape. So they have their plan, which is put together very quickly because of the situations that continue to arise, and they end up taking off, and that's where the journey truly begins. The story, it is told through different perspectives. However, Cora, it is the main perspective throughout the book. This story talks about all of the insanely horrific things that happened to African Americans during that time, and just how scary life must have been for these people. Some of the things that took place, literally took place in history during this time is completely shocking, and I can't even wrap my mind around some of the just terrible things that was done to these human beings. So I personally was really impressed by some of the quotes that I read in this book, and some of the phrases in this book will probably stick with me for quite some time. I loved the writing style. It was a very beautiful writing style, very kind of a slow pace, but very much character driven. With everything that was going on plot-wise, it was just so easy to really concentrate on the characters and feel for these characters and just see things through their eyes and experience the things that they were experiencing. It definitely made me cry on a couple of occasions. It I thought it was a beautiful story. I really enjoyed it. I can't remember now if I gave it a 4 or a 5 star, but it was a great read and I really liked it. Another book I picked up during this readathon was Kira Kira by Cynthia Kadohara. This was a beautiful story as well. It's a middle grade book, I believe, and it's a historical fiction book, and it follows a Japanese American family. This family is going through some economical distress when they end up moving to another state. I believe they moved to Tennessee, where the brother of the father of this family leaves and manages to get the parents a job in a chicken factory. The hours are very long, there's a lot of work, which means that the children spend a lot of time alone together. They don't necessarily mind this because they're very close to each other. They have this very beautiful family relationship and they cope very well. However, they do start to experience some discrimination due to them being different than the majority of the people living in this town, who most likely doesn't want to really get involved with them, doesn't want to get to know them. These people don't want to talk to them. They mostly get ignored all day long. The story is told mostly through the perspective of the younger sister, who really looks up to her older sister and who really loves her younger brother. As the story progresses and you get to experience teenage years with the older sister and that little jealousy from the younger sister who starts to feel a little bit neglected by her favorite sister due to her new friends. However, suddenly things start to change because the older sister gets sick and things just go from there. It was a very sad story. I knew it was going to be a little sad, but I didn't realize it was going to be this sad. I cried quite a lot towards the ending of this book. I thought the writing to be absolutely beautiful. It had this great flow. It was very easy to read. The characters were absolutely delightful. I just really loved reading from these characters and getting to know them, and I feel like I created a relationship with the characters in this book. I highly recommend it. I think all of you would really enjoy a book like this one. Then I picked up El Diafo, and this is by Cici Bell. I love this. This is a graphic novel and is basically a graphic memoir. It follows her life as a younger child with a disability. And practically when Cici was 4, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name, I think it's pronounced Cici. When Cici was 4, she had meningitis, and that ended up making her lose her hearing. So she is a deaf child who was able to hear before and she can no longer do so. So it goes over, you know, her adjustment period and how she felt at the beginning and how she felt after a few years, and it just follows that period of time during her life. And it was very informative for me, at least. I got to understand a lot more of what it's like to have that situation, and I really enjoyed it. I think it was beautifully written. I loved the illustrations. I thought it was very sincere and it was very informative in a very light way. And what I mean by that is that it was not just packed with all this information. Since it was told through her perspective, you get to learn a lot about what it's like to have this kind of disability and what it was like for her, at least. You get to understand what she went through and at the same time learn the things that she learned in a very easy and, you know, just very flowy way. It was just like having a conversation with a friend and, you know, getting to know more about them. That's how I felt when I was reading this book. I really enjoyed it. I believe I gave it 4 stars, and I think everyone should read it at some point in their lives. The last book that I picked up during this readathon is Home by Toni Morrison, and this was a fantastic read, as well as all the other ones during this readathon. I was very lucky. This is another historical fiction, so I did read a lot of historical fiction during this readathon, although I have no regrets. It was awesome. This book follows a few different people, but it is mostly told through the perspective of Frank. Frank is a veteran and he is also an African American, and he is not treated as a veteran should at all. He's basically treated as a common criminal after risking his life during war. As he returns from war, he is experiencing distress from the events that took place during war. He is having issues, you know, and he's trying to cope with them the best he can. He used to be very close to his younger sister. That was the family member that he truly loved and adored. And from the time he left for the war, he's not seen her since. And as he is trying to get by with his life, he receives a very shocking letter telling him that he better hurry and get to where his sister is, or he's going to end up losing her. And that's how the journey begins, basically. It was a beautiful story. It was very sad, but it was very enjoyable to read, even though it was a very sad topic. It was beautifully written. And I can't wait to read more from Toni Morrison. I loved all of the books that I read during this readathon. I do have to say, I got very lucky. I had some amazing reads, and they were very emotional, but they all taught me something, and that is the main reason why I love reading, because I get to learn new things, and I get to experience life through other people's writing, and that's something I really value and really enjoy. Let me know down below in the comment section if you participated with this readathon, what you read, what was your favorite read during the readathon, or just your thoughts on diversity as a whole. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic week, and I will see you again soon. Bye!